Stay a while and listen. This is Brachio Bales coming to you from my sanctuary on the D2R Discord. On this episode, we have a lively discussion with Smalps from Smalps Gaming, and then we cover some other various topics including mailbag questions submitted via Reddit. Enjoy. All right. How are we doing today, guys? We have a special guest today, but before we get to that, we'll do a quick introduction. I'm Brachio Bales. We also have Tyrael Archaea and Crude Sash on the pod. Tyrael, you want to say hi?
Hello, everybody. And Crude?
Good evening, America, and all foreign ports.
Okay. And today we've got a special guest. We are joined by Smalps from Smalps Gaming. What's up, man?
Yep. Hello, guys.
So for this first segment, we're just going to jump into the Q&A with Smalps. What first drew you into Diablo 2 originally? And how did that passion carry over into Diablo 2 Resurrected?
So I guess I'll just kind of start where, like my D2 story. So I started playing Diablo 2, like probably most people, in 2000 when the classic came out. I was pretty familiar with Blizzard and their products because I played StarCraft at the time. So I had a few buddies that played Diablo and got me into it. They were obviously much more advanced than me because they got me into it, so they knew what they were doing. And then in 2001, when Diablo 2 LOD came out, that was like a first day purchase. I think we went to EBX, I think was the store that you could buy these games, and we probably pre-ordered it or just showed up and bought it. I don't know if there was any sort of process there. So we got LOD sort of day of, and that was pretty exciting because it had, the expansion, Bale, Act 5, all this stuff. So to me, that was the big game. So Diablo 2 was kind of like you just started and you're kind of playing and not really sure how to play. You just kind of going through it. And then LOD came out and it was like, all right, it was established. People knew how to play. People were very excited about it. So that's kind of, how I got into LOD. And then, I wasn't super good at it. My buddies would play it. We would, magic find and grind and all that stuff. But I never really, figured it out until like picking up the second time. So I dropped it like in 2002. That's when I graduated high school, and I didn't play Diablo 2 basically when I was in college. It was mostly like I played it, when I was in high school, and then after I graduated college, that's when I kind of picked it up again and started to like really get into it. And that's where I like found these forums, and it had, like price guides on like how to work the economy, because that was kind of a big part of D2 was the trade economy. I played ladder only when this was out. I never played single player, so it was only ladder during this time on PC LOD. And I remember like seeing this price guide and seeing that I could trade 40 P gems for a pull rune, and then the pull rune was how much like an Ashudas was, and that was like my first like big major trade. Was I collected up and got the P gems, traded the P gems for a pull rune, and then traded the pull rune for the Ashudas, and that was like a big power jump for me.
Oh yeah, that's like
one of my first characters.
Yeah, that's like, it's such a great feeling. When like I wish I could go back. I wish I could go back to like not knowing anything about the game and like rediscovering that for the first time. Like that, it's just like such a good feeling. Sorry. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So like that was the thing that kicked it off for me, was because before that I would just, I'd make builds and I'd put points in, really had no idea. Like I would magic find and find a few things, but I didn't really like understand. And then once I figured out this and could like figure out the economy, that's when I like really, really got into it. Then I was like farming keys and stuff, and you would flip the keys for, I think I was selling them for like Ist runes probably then. So I was like, I would farm like D keys and trade those, and then, work my way up to trading for higher runes, and then you would make all this stuff. So it was like a big part of what got me excited about D2 was like learning that sort of economy side and not just the stuff in game. And this was like my buddies were like pretty good at the time here. Like they all had like a certain amount of stuff, but they weren't like super into it. And then like they sort of like faded and dropped off, and then I started to just like kind of like continue to go. And then like I probably played like the most I was into D2 before Resurrected was like 2006 to 2008, somewhere around that time. I think I played, and the last major patch I played was 1.12. And I believe that was the patch right before they had respecs. So this is when you had to like absolutely know what build you were doing from the beginning, and you couldn't mess up a single point. So you felt like weak as you were playing through, because you're like, I have to save all my points until I get to the end, because if I use them now, my build is going to be not great. So I remember
I played like the most that I ever played D2 LOD was prior to that. And so I don't even know that I don't have any kind of memory of having respecs at all. So it was so difficult, because like you brick your character, and then basically what you have to do is get a character up to being able to get the stuff that you need, and then you have to create a new character that you can equip with the stuff. And basically level it without spending any points, like get a rush and whatever, and then put your gear on and put all your stats in.
It's like the first character was like the practice run.
Right.
And then you're like, I remember making a necromancer and being like, all right, well, bone spirit, that's at the end of the tree, so that must be good, right? So then I'm like, leveling up the character, getting there, and then I get into bone spirit and I'm like, these kind of suck. And it was just so hard to, like you would invest all that time and get to that point, but then the character's like not good. So you're like, all right, well, new character or start something else.
I had such a long break there that I kind of forgot that was an issue from back
then. What, respecs?
Yeah.
That was a big thing. Is like the one point and you would brick your character thing was like, you had to be totally sure. And this is, early D2, there weren't like guides, like there was no YouTube that you could look up. So it was tough.
See, I had printed off a bunch of stuff. I found every like guide site that was out there, and so I literally had slowly at school, so I didn't get in trouble, printed off all of the necro stuff, and it would have like all the skills, and then it even showed like the synergies and stuff. And so I had every like unique set, and then every class or whatever printed, and so I literally had a physical binder, had to have been close to 1,000 pages just to have that at my fingertips.
But like even then, like the math hadn't been figured out. Like there was some stuff, but like not to the level that's understood now. It definitely was a lot harder, despite a lot of it being similar to D2R. It's like just
like the printed strategy guides and stuff.
Or like the guide that you would get with the battle chest. Right? Like, it's helpful, but it's not, it doesn't tell you all the secrets and everything that's just so readily available now. So sorry, anyway, you were leading into
so that was the last major patch that I played, 1.12, and like right before, like I had a pretty strong character then, and obviously it was harder to level then. I had a level 94 sorceress. It was a chain lightning frozen ore build that I was mainly using for key farming, and that was like the kind of way I would generate wealth on a ladder, and it was a pretty strong build by the time I finished it. Or I didn't quote unquote finish it. I ended basically at 94 because it was just so hard to level back then.
Oh, it's a slog from there. It's like takes just as long.
Yeah,
to-
I was
to
doing
get
like
to
mostly
99.
like bloody foothill runs at the time. Then it was like a pretty good place to level back then. But so I actually like recorded a few runs that I did with that character. I had like video recording software then, and I recorded the screen for it. So I recorded a few videos just before I like kind of wrapped it up and like stopped. So that was like
You used-
2008.
So did
Sorry.
you use a video capture card?
It wasn't. It was like a screen capture program.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it was because this was like PC. It was like I was running it on the PC. So it was just like a screen recording type program that I used.
Gotcha.
So I just recorded like a Bale run, a Nilithak run, and like what the build. Like I went over the build, or I like highlighted all the stuff that I had in my build just to like have record of it. Because I was like,
Mhm.
oh, this is cool. I made it. But then I was like, I'm like sort of done playing this. And so that was like 2008. Again, like 1.12 I think was the patch, and after that patch was respecs and stuff, which would have been cool to do, but I didn't play at that time. So that was like a long like gap there. So after 2008, I hadn't played in a very long time. And then when I heard that Diablo 2 Resurrected, they're like, oh, they're making a new game. I was like so excited about it, but I didn't have a PC at the time or anything, but I did have Nintendo Switch, and I was like, oh, it's gonna be on Nintendo Switch. So I bought it for Nintendo Switch, was all excited, played it, had a couple of buddies that, you know, I got into playing it, and we were like both, you know, we were all playing it on Switch. Switch has some limitations to it, like there's only players 4 max online for Switch. I think it's just due to the hardware issues of having, you know, you can't, it won't be able to support more than 4 players kind of a thing.
Mhm.
But this was early. This was like, you know, 2021 when this came out. And I don't think that there was any sort of like lobby or anything. It was like hard to find games. Like it wasn't how it is now, where there's like lists of games and stuff. It was very different. But you could definitely play with people that you were friends with through like the Switch friend code type thing.
Mhm.
So we were pretty into it, and we were like, you know, playing through the acts and building up our characters. But we were like limited because I was like, for us to like take this to the next level here, like we need to be able to trade. We need to be able to like find people. So that's when I like looked up Discord and found this Reddit, and I joined this Reddit back then. And the trade channels during that time were booming because the game was so popular at the time, because it was fresh, new, and everybody was like so excited. And like I call it season 0 because it was like before any ladders.
Right, it was non-ladder. Yeah.
Yeah, it was all non-ladder, but it was like the ladder because you had like spirit and you had like ladder only rune words. So it was like like its own long ladder without being quote unquote ladder.
Yeah, I think it's
So it
kind of
was- yeah.
similar. I think it's kind of similar to what they're doing for D2RC, the China release.
Yeah,
like it's not ladder right now,
Right. But it's
but
the
they
game.
have ladder rune words.
Yeah.
So then like it essentially is ladder because everyone's playing on the
Right.
same instance.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but it was like, so ladder season 0 basically, the, you know, Discord was bumping, right? Like trades were fine. It was so easy to find trades. And I also think you guys had like a price guide, which also helps, right? Because you're like, oh, how, like I have a pull rune, what can a pull rune buy? Or I want to get an Ashudas or whatever, how much does it cost in the range? So like this Discord had that price list, which helps you kind of like learn the economy, which is what you need to trade. So I was like that sort of middleman person for my buddies who played it, because I was like, oh, I'll hop on Discord and, you know, I'll find somebody to trade some stuff. So that like again was like scratching that itch for me as far as what I liked to do before, in back in like, you know, 2008, which was all the economy trades and stuff. So that's how I got into it. So again, I'm coming from playing D2R on Switch. And then this is when I'm like, you know, I'm like researching stuff on YouTube and watching these videos, watching Llama, watching Sweet Phil and all these stuff, like learning about the game again and learning stuff that I didn't know then. So I'm becoming like, you know, a little bit more knowledgeable. And that's when like, I decided, I was like, oh, like what is like, let me just look at like some streaming type stuff and like just curious about it. And I'm like sort of doing this like the hardest way possible, probably because I have a MacBook and I'm trying to do it on Switch, right? So I'm like, there's nobody trying to record or stream D2R on Switch. So I was like, I'm like jumping through hoops here trying to like figure this out. But I did get like a capture card, so I was able to do some sort of recordings. And then I figured out how to like set up OBS on my Mac and sort of got it to work. So that's how I like, you know, started with the original D2 Classic and then was so psyched on D2R and then just been like hooked on D2R forever. And like, so I played like probably close to 3,000 hours on Switch before I even went to a new platform, because like, you know, Switch is kind of slowed down now. And then like probably a year and a half ago, maybe 2 years, I got a PlayStation 5 and then went to PlayStation 5. And PlayStation 5, the D2R network is much bigger, like because PlayStation is just larger. But you also have the capability of doing players 8. So that was like, I'm like, oh my God, this is so much easier to level. I was like, oh my God, I was like, you know, handicapping myself.
I don't know why, and maybe it works this way. And I don't know, but because like I actually recently purchased it on Switch just for the ability to help people transfer stuff if they need to transfer from PC to Switch or Switch to PC, I can just hop on and help them. But it feels like a missed opportunity for them to make it so that like every player counts as two. So if another person joins as players 4, right? It feels like that would have been the smart thing to do, so that they can reach players 8. But unfortunately, I don't think it works that way.
Yeah, it's not. And like, it's a common misconception that like people think that is how it works because they're like, oh, this would make sense, right? But it's not. Like, we've tested the experience like in game. To like actually calculate what you actually get, and it's not scaled, and the drops are also not scaled. So like, it is harder like online to get certain drops for Switch. So it is harder, and it took me like a year to level 99 my Sork, which was my first character on Switch, because of that P4 limit. And this is also before Terror Zones, right? So like I think I leveled to like 96 without Terror Zones. And this was at P4 the whole time. Well, as much like a lot of it was P1, but basically capped at P4. So then once I went to PlayStation 5, I was like, oh my God, P8, this is so much easier. And so that's where I've done like most of my sort of leveling. So
and it's not like you can multi-box your Switch, right? So so like if you wanted to do that, you'd have to have
you'd have to have 4
switches, 4 accounts.
Yeah.
For Nintendo Onlines.
Yeah. You'd have to have 4 accounts. Yeah.
That's a nightmare.
Yeah.
But again, like a lot of people ask me, they're like, "Oh, you play on console?" Like it annoys me, some of the comments I get for like people like say, "Oh, you play on console." It's like, I like playing on console now. I would rather play on console. I know like I did play on PC in the past, so I do know that experience and how it worked. But for me, like the way the character moves to like click and move, to me is a little like funny, and it was always funny. But playing with a joystick, like moving the character with the joystick, to me makes more sense in the immersion and like how games like are played. There are certain things that like don't work as well on console, like teleport is a fixed distance, so you can't like accurately do that. There's some skills that you can't particularly like pinpoint where you want to put it, like hydras. You can't like, it's gonna just target where a person is. So there is some like sort of auto targeting that happens with console and the controller. Interesting. But
different experience.
I'm used to it. So like, I know that teleport is a fixed distance and I'm used to it. So I know exactly like how far away I need to be to like tele stomp something, but it's certainly not like as easy. Like playing a hammered in, for example, is not really good on console or controller because of the need, or almost the need to be able to tele stomp exactly under a monster for the hammers. And Blizzard also doesn't work as well, the skill Blizzard, because on PC you want to cast the Blizzard in front of the monsters and have them like walk into it, whereas you cannot do that with controller because it's going to cast it on top of them because it's like an auto target thing.
Yeah,
so it just doesn't work as well.
I was just gonna ask. It sounds like it probably auto targets for that too.
Yeah.
That probably makes it hard because you basically on PC you cast it and you run around trying to get them underneath it, and you have no control over where it's actually casting.
Yeah, it hurts.
But it's definitely playable. Like, it's definitely good.
Yeah. What was that, Curd?
It hurts skills like decoy, for example, because the decoy will go right where you are. So if you want to use decoy on the console, you need to think about, okay, where do I want to be later? So you'll set the decoy down, and then you'll move away, and then so it doesn't do the same. It's not the same effect as it is on PC when you can decoy in the corner or put her in the doorway, that kind of thing. So
I feel like it would be difficult for cows too. Like if you were using decoy on a Javazon and in cows.
Yeah,
and the bear too. So like when you're casting the bear, sometimes you want to cast it right in front of something.
Yeah.
It's just going to kind of
same thing.
target.
Yeah, golems.
Yeah. So it's just a little different. But again, me personally, I am so used to console now that I play with a controller even if I go on PC.
Interesting. I've never tried a gamepad or whatever on a PC. I love mouse and keyboard so much.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll give it a shot, but I did mess around a little bit. I loaded up my favorite 99 hammered in on my Switch, and I was it was so new. I was just struggling trying to figure out how to bind stuff. I was like, what? So I think I went out of town and killed some stuff, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then I haven't played it.
Yeah. But yeah, in a lot of people or on Discord and on people's live streams and stuff, whenever people have questions about console, I'm like, yeah, I know all about it. What do you need to know? So I'm always answering questions on how the game is played on console.
Yeah, and I also noticed. I do want to say also though, before I say the second thing, you pointed out that not a lot of people play on Switch, and it's so apparent because people are always in general chat on the Discord asking for help, and they're always on, well, not always, but recently it's a lot of people on Switch, and I'm just look, you are playing on a tough platform right now because the player base is really low. Everybody here for the most part plays PC. I mean, there are people, but it's just few and far between.
For sure.
But I did notice that you are always in the class channels helping people out, which is really cool. I appreciate that.
Yeah, because I've gone through probably most builds that are the most popular builds for every class. I did every class, every build. I'm pretty knowledgeable in all of them. So when people ask questions in those class specific channels looking for help, I'm always sort of giving my sort of input, and I try to be unbiased about what I like to do, because again, I'm not really a heavy magic find person. I'd rather just have a stronger build and go for clear speed and grind to 99 type thing. So if somebody's is 250 magic find good or whatever, I'm sure, if that's what you want to do that.
Yeah, and
I don't try to
Magic Find doesn't help you find runes, so
it doesn't.
But we are one question in.
I mean, I get some of the other questions might be quicker. I don't know, but that was again, that was my background. That was my D2 story.
We definitely appreciate it, and did you want to expound on that more?
No, I mean that's kind of that was my story. I played it. It's the game that really resonated with me the most. D2. I mean, I played a lot of console games, fighting games, Soul Calibur, Smash Brothers, Monkey Ball, but I've played first person shooters and stuff, but I wasn't very good at first person shooters. But the reason why D2 really resonated with me as far as this longevity and why we probably kind of all still play is that it's not a very high skill game, but it's a like the more time you invest in it, the better you kind of are, because you just, you know, you have a chance to level your character more, you get more powerful, you get more knowledge, and then you can do all these builds. But it's not like super heavy skill like a first person shooter. Like people can just be like super good at those. And it's like, how do you even compete? So for this, it's like, if you just put the time in, like whenever people are like, how come I can't find high runes? It's like, well, it sounds like you've played for only 50 hours. Like, how do you expect to find like a burr rune or a jaw rune in that much time? It's like this game is a grindy thing. You got to put in the time.
And it just makes me laugh because I agree. It makes me laugh because earlier someone in the Discord had like played for 10 hours and they were like, how come high runes aren't dropping? I was
exactly.
just like, oh my gosh.
You've only played for 10 hours. Like,
in all fairness, Break, I think it was, they were upset that they had run 10 runs and hadn't found anything.
That's even worse.
That's so much worse.
Yeah. Oh man. All right. So do any of you guys have a question for Smalps?
Yeah, I'll take it away on the second one. So what was it that made you, or I guess when did you decide to start creating the YouTube content around this game, and what led you to do that?
Yeah, so again, I was watching Llama, learning stuff from him, watching Sweet Phil, learning stuff from him, but I felt like I was like, oh, I have a pretty strong build, and I like nobody's making content around console and Switch. So I was like, I'll be the guy that's like coming at it from a console perspective, because again, I had played it on PC, so I knew all the like mouse and keyboard type stuff. And then I'm like, well, I can come from a different sort of perspective, being like, well, this build is probably better because of the way it works on a controller. So I was just kind of like, I'll make a build, or I'll make videos based on that and center it around console play. And, you know, I was like, I'll just, you know, put it out there again. Like, you know, when you start a YouTube channel, you're like, I don't know, I'll just put out a video and see what sort of works and see what happens. So that's what I did, is I just, I had my Chain Lightning Frozen Orb build, I think it was at the time. And I just kind of like put that out there and showcased it. And I was like, yeah, this is how I play and blah, blah, blah. And then
so
it just was like, oh, that's cool.
Filled it.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, because then I got, obviously, because I like tagged Switch and Nintendo in the title and all that stuff, I got all these people that were like, oh, like I play on Switch too, and they were like excited that I was like making content based on Nintendo Switch stuff, and not just generic sort of like guides or whatever on for like PC.
Cool.
And I guess I'll follow that up with real quickly, and then we can get to Crude. And forgive me, I haven't gone back to like look at what your original videos were like, but you know, what were they like? Has your content evolved since then?
Yeah, I mean, like, so it's probably the same story for any sort of quote unquote YouTuber. Like their first videos are like cringe. You know, like my first video was like
kind of like our episode 1.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, like
it was a masterpiece.
I didn't have a good microphone. Like I didn't have the highest quality stuff. And yeah, you put it out there and you're just like, you look at it now and you're like, oh my God, like the way my voice sounds, like the tone, like it just wasn't there. I feel like now I'm a little bit more polished and a little bit more energetic in the way I speak, and just sort of doing those sort of YouTube-y things where you're like, well, you got to make sure that you don't have so much like sort of dead air so that the video like flows and people are interested and people don't click away. But yeah, my first couple videos were just kind of like random playthroughs and like quiet, you know, build videos. And then it sort of progressed into doing a little bit of challenge stuff. Like I did a few like Uber challenges and stuff, and just like the guides became guides. I say guides, but I think it's more like showcases, because I like to think that it's like, I'm not trying to tell people how to play, because we all play in our own way.
Just showing what's available.
Yeah, I'm just like, this is what I did for a build, and this is what it looks like when I do a bail run at Players 8. Here you go. Yeah, good luck, you know? And
you do more short format stuff, right?
Yeah. So like in the beginning, it was all long form, because I don't think shorts were a thing when I started. But yeah, it was all like long form long form content, and I had to like come up with a thumbnail and like make sure that it was like over 8 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever. I didn't really cap the time, but then like now I'm more into doing short form video with shorts, just because I think it's more fun. It's easier for me to do because it's less dependent on a long recording session, and it's just like little game clips that I like put together and do a little voiceover. It's just kind of like a vlog type thing of like, oh, this is what happened in the game this week when I was playing, like, and I got like a lot more views that way and more sort of interactions that way. So for me, I'm more focused on, and again, this is like sort of seeing a need, filling a need type thing. Like there were no D2 content creators at the time focusing on shorts because shorts were so new. And obviously the revenue is much different. Like you get far less ad revenue with YouTube shorts. So I'm sure
you have to have like 100 or like 1 million views or something. It's crazy.
Yeah. But again, I'm not in this for the money. I don't do this full time. So I understand the people that are like full-time content creators that are like, well, I got to make a long form video because I'm going to make a lot more money on it. I totally get that. Yeah. But there were very little or no people doing D2 content in short form shorts at the time. And so I was like, I'll be that guy.
Or like not many people doing console either. So
exactly. So I was like, nobody's doing console and nobody's doing shorts. I'm like, I'll just do those things. And it was like more fun for me and easier for me to actually do the short form. Because obviously editing and recording a 15-second clip, 20-second clip is much easier than a 15-minute video. So it was just easier for me to do that.
Yeah, it's kind of like people keep asking why we don't have video for the pod, and I'm kind of like, well, sometimes you gotta crawl before you can walk or run, and also like we want to kind of keep this focused in the niche that we're operating. Long format pod. We don't really want to navigate into the streaming or the gameplay space because that's well saturated. We kind of want to stick to this format. So I mean, maybe we'll do some video or in the future, like if it makes sense for us to be able to share at least an image of what we're talking about. But for right now, we're keeping it simple.
Yeah, and I think that it's cool to do the podcast. Again, like there's probably not many people doing podcasts for D2 content, and I think there is sort of a niche or a need for people to just throw on a pod and like listen to it. Because again, like I watch a lot of stream stuff while I'm working, but I'm not like totally focused on the screen and what's going on. I'm just kind of listening to it. So for this format, people can just like throw this on and like just listen into it while they go for a walk or listen to it while they're at the gym or something. Yeah, so I think it's cool.
It's funny because like I kind of did it. We're doing this in a way that I was kind of like, what would I want? Right? Like, I'm creating something that I would want to listen to. Mowing the lawn out there for an hour or whatever, and just something that I would want. So. But I don't listen to our podcast. That's not true. I did listen to it while I was mowing the lawn, but just to like have a sense of what everyone's hearing. Because like in my process, like when I go to do the post and like editing and stuff, like I'll listen. Sometimes the first time it took like 4 hours to like figure it all out and lay it out and get the different things laid out properly, and it's a little faster now, but sometimes like when I'm done with that, I don't want to listen to it all the way through because I'm just like sick of it.
Yeah, you've already heard.
And like I've listened to everyone's individual track. I've like removed coughs and sneezes and all that stuff. So it's just kind of like I like later on we'll sit down and listen to it after the fact. So anyway, Crude, I don't want to take up all this time here. Crude, what do you got?
Okay, so let's shift gears a second, and I'll ask you this: what is your favorite class and build? and why?
I'll have to say Sork, and that's probably like a most common or a very common answer for a lot of people. But it's the class that I started with almost every ladder on PC all those years back, and it was like the one that probably I played the most. Obviously, I played a few other ones that were just like trial and error sort of, but obviously having teleport is a huge benefit. I like being a powerful build. I know it's a little bit squishy at sometimes, but like Sork is pretty easy to play the game
Like
once you have
Blizz.
teleport. Yeah, like Blizzard build or like Nova Sork is probably like my favorite. So Nova Sork, and then I really liked my Fireball Hydra build. So I've played that, and I really like that. It's like a little bit different style, whereas Nova is very aggressive. And then I've also been like really liking Barb lately. Just like a lot of different, there we go. Like
Yep.
I made a Goldfind Barb, I made a Wolf Barb for PvP. I made another BVA Barb for PvP just to kind of mess around. And Whirlwind Barb was one of my favorite playthroughs and builds. So I'm really enjoying Barb again. So, and they have the same FCR breakpoints as Sork, which was kind of cool. So once you get like a Enigma, it's like you can be a fast Barb, which is kind of cool, and it's super tanky, and I really like the way melee builds play on console, because again, that immersion where you're moving the character and you're swinging and hitting, it just makes a lot of sense on controller. So Sork, Nova Sork, probably my top, and then I'm liking Barb now. So
there's a common theme here that's
What's the theme?
It's that everyone that comes on has to suck up to Crude Sash.
Oh, this isn't a suck up. It's like
No,
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, no, I get it. I'm kidding. But he loves.
I know
Barb.
he's the Barb guy. I mean,
he's the Barb guy, and like I'm always just like, oh, sorry, Crude, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, it's good. It's actually funny. I'm rolling a barbarian now offline, and I have, this is an interesting thing, I have never played a barbarian in the end game as Whirlwind.
Really?
Yeah, I've always been more of a berserker, mostly berserker, concentrate. I love those big two-handed builds. That's always been my thing, but I really wanted to try and explore Whirlwind, and I decided I wanted to try offline again now that I've gotten into online and saw what the ladder was like and really invested a lot of time there. I kind of wanted to go back and like take a step back and say, okay, let's look at it in this angle. So that's what I'm working on right now. So eventually, and I'm not there yet. I'm only like level 27, I think. So we're not there yet, but we're gonna get there. And it's all solo self-found with no twinking of any kind. So it's going to be an interesting challenge to get up to the levels that you need and get this. I'm really looking forward to seeing how that plays out.
Is it
playing
softcore or
hardcore?
hardcore?
Oh yeah, that was my question.
This is softcore. I'm not against doing a hardcore build for it, but I want to get to really get to the more difficult parts of the game and play Whirlwind when I haven't done it yet. Right. And really kind of get that feel for like what it's like. And I've of course I've used the skill every once in a while, but it's more like I throw a point into it and I'll see how it goes. But I've never really used it in D2. I've used it a lot in Diablo 3. I don't think I did much with Whirlwind in Diablo 4. I think I went more with some of the different builds. But D2, I've just never really used it as the main skill, and so that's my next thing. I've always leaned towards Concentrate and Berserk, but I wanted to branch out, try something new, so that's where I'm going with this one.
That's awesome. They made like a lot of new updates to Whirlwind in D2R, so it's better. So it's fun. It's good.
Yeah, they smoothed it out, and now you're not starting out with the damage penalty.
For sure. Yep.
Which for me was like it was a bar there. That was like a thing. I was like, well, I don't really want to start out being in the negative. Yeah. So you just kind of okay, well, and I credited people who were able to get through that. So kind of speaking of you kind of leaned into the next question with the changes. Sure. So now that we're in Resurrected, how do you feel Blizzard has, done right by the game, let's say in D2R compared to, the classic D2 and D2 LOD? Like, what do you think now this version of Diablo 2 compares to that older one?
So I think it's like way better, as in there's so many quality of life updates that they added, like the stash tabs, the shared stash tabs, or even just bigger stash is a massive one, because this game you're like collecting all this stuff. If you go back to like classic and look at the old thing, like the stash space is so small, it's like crazy. And then not being able to share stash between characters also is crazy, where you had to, back in the day you would go in a game, perm the game, drop your stuff, and quickly get out and try and get to another character just to like move things. So like the quality of life stuff that they added in D2R was huge. And then obviously the graphics change is like, I think the graphics in D2R look awesome. Like the colors and all the stuff, like everything just looks so good. And it just plays like it felt when you played back then. Like it just feels really good when you're playing, but it looks awesome.
Yeah,
and like,
I agree.
You just don't 100%. Even notice. Like you're like, this is amazing. Like this is how it feels. Like this is how it should be. So like, and then they've done a lot of good bug fixes, like things that were bugs in the game for like decades. They fixed, and it's great. Like they changed the next hit delay thing, which like made a whole bunch of other characters stronger, who are somewhat weak. The Sunder Charm thing I think helped builds that were never played. Like you would, maybe level as a fire sword, but like, oh, it's not great in the end game, so you wouldn't use it. So the Sunders, I mean, it was like kind of a band-aid fix, but it did make builds fun and playable in the end game with Sunders. And then Terror Zones made it so that you can actually realistically hit 99, where it's like before it was like only people who had unlimited free time could level 99.
Didn't next hit delay though like mess up PvP for folks?
It didn't mess up a whole lot of stuff. Like it did mess up some things, but it made certain builds that were previously not as strong probably a little bit stronger. But it didn't like crazy outbalance it. I think there was in PvP the faster hit recovery. There's something there with that.
I feel like I heard people that played. I want to say people that played Druid. Because originally, like, were mad because it like messed up how they played PvP. But
I think it might have changed the way tornadoes worked, because it no longer had that sort of next hit delay or next collide or whatever it did before. But Wind Druid is still like a strong PvP build, but I'm not super into PvP. I'm like sort of just getting into it now, so I know a little bit about it, but I'm definitely not an expert in the PvP stuff.
Yeah, me neither.
Save yourself the trouble and don't do it at all.
Yeah, that was the thing. It's like, so like one of my goals was like I wanted to 99 every class, so I did that and I went through all that and I played all these builds. But then I was like at a crossroads. I was like, all right, after this, what do I do? Do I go down the PvP path, or do I go down the like hardcore? Like try and play like hardcore, like offline and solo self-found type of thing. So I was like,
a Grail.
I mean, I'm like actively working on it, as in I know what I found, and I only have Tyrael's Might left.
Oh yeah.
I only have Tyrael's Might left, but I'm doing it on like my Grail is only online. I have not played any single player, and I actually haven't played any ladder. I've only played non-ladder on D2R.
Wow.
So
well,
like
Smalps, since I share a name with the guy,
Tyrael,
I'm going to try to give you my blessing. This week you will find your Tyrael's Might.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. That would be great. Release me from this burden.
When I did my Grail, the last two items were Wind Force and Tyrael's Might, and I found them within a week of each other.
Wow.
After like, I want to say it took like at least a year, maybe a year and a few months. But like it's funny, sometimes it just works out that way.
Yeah, I mean, I would think that most people that are doing quote unquote grails are doing it offline because it's just easier to sort of like manipulate the players count and like target farm certain bosses when they're terrorized and all that stuff, and you get sort of all the drops. But since I've only played online, I'm just like sort of tracking, like, yes, I've found every single item, and the only item I have not found now is Tyrael's Might, and this has all been like non-ladder online.
I've got to 70%.
Yep.
And I have a combination of non-ladder and ladder, and
yep.
My grail is a dirty, filthy cheater's grail because I count everything. If I picked it up in a free game, if I traded it with my son, I don't care. If I have it, it's going on the list. And
if your character has seen it.
I have to have it somewhere on one of my mules. But the reason why that happened is I started doing it completely solo self-found. I was being very judicious about it, and then I wound up getting a few items, and I'm like, wait, how did I get that? Did I get that in a trade? Did I
don't remember
it? And I didn't remember, and I'm like, you know what? I am not going to lose my mind over this. And it's just like, I got it, it's counted, that's it. So anybody
you
listening,
should have thrown it on the ground and not counted it.
Yeah, I'm not going to throw down my whatever's, but I have found a lot of good stuff, so it's kind of cool. If you remember, in our first episode, we all went around kind of talking about the changes we think might happen and what we'd like to see, and we went over a lot of things. So we'll ask you that. Like, what would you like to see? What changes would you like to see Blizzard implement if and when we get the chaos?
I mean, what I would like or what I think. So first of all, what I would like would be, I would like a legit expansion, like new content, right? So the way that was worded makes it sound like there's new content and not just like bug fixes and things like that. So like in Act 6, I mean, that would be amazing if they were able to do that. I don't know if they have the capacity or the, lore and figure it out if they can even do that. But like more content in Act 4, maybe, but that would kind of change the game. I feel like the best way to do it would be to have an Act 6 where it's like you have your D2 Classic, you have your LOD, and then you would have whatever this new thing is, which includes Act 6. And you can choose to upgrade your characters on non-ladder if you want to this new thing to have like this new content. But for like speed running purposes and stuff, it would screw things up if they started to like add different stuff to like Act 4 or whatever. But then you could also have like sort of like an Ubers thing, where it's like just bonus content. So they could do something like that in Act 4 if they wanted, where they're like, oh, you kill Izzy in here and you get a thing, and then you make a portal to this other thing. So they could do that, but some sort of new content for me would be what I would want in the game, whether it be Uber type stuff, whether it be an Act 6. That's what I would want. But the easiest thing that I think that we will get is the extra stash tabs, because I feel like that's such an easy win for them to just give us extra stash tabs. Right. And then if they're
already done, they can like just port that over.
Exactly. They've already done it for the China version, so just move that over to us. I feel like we should be able to get that in the next patch without paying for it. Because they've already sold probably 1 billion copies of D2R in China. So they already have the money, so it's fine. But the other thing that I think would be such an easy win if they're gonna do this is just more character slots. Like, we're limited to 24 online. You know how easy that would be as a programmer? Just like, now it's 30. Like, it'd be so easy to just give you that extra space.
It's probably literally changing a 24 to a 30.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, it'd be
somewhere in the database.
It'd be so easy to do that. So like, either give us more stash space or give us more character slots. One of those two things would be a huge bump in quality of life and make a lot of people happy for very, very little effort. And it just seems like that would be a huge win. But I do think that the patch that is coming is going to be big. That's my thought.
Interesting.
Nice.
Yeah. I know that I've talked about this multiple times, but I think if they were going to add additional content, or say in Act 6, you should unlock that using the standard of heroes. So that way it like
That'd be cool.
is a natural progression into the newest part of the end game, and that way you don't have to touch any of the other stuff that's currently in place, and it makes it nice and clean. So that's just my little tidbit on that. Crew, did you have anything else? Tyrael?
All right. So how do you stay connected with the Diablo 2 community outside of YouTube, whether it's Discord, Reddit, Twitch, etc.?
Yeah, so like I said, I'm super active on this Discord or whatever. What would I call this? It's like Diablo 2 Resurrected Reddit Discord?
Yeah, it's the Diablo 2 Resurrected Discord, yeah.
Yeah,
we're associated with the subreddit as well.
Yeah.
But so it's non-official, I'll just say that.
Yeah. So I think I found it, like I searched for it and I found the Reddit, and then I found the Discord off of it. And again, I've been part of this Discord since 2021, like December or November 2021, something like that. But just being active in this Discord for a long time. Again, I answer a bunch of questions in the class specific channels. I'm like hovering over all these channels for transfer requests and trades, and people need help with declone. Like I think I'm like a non-ladder declone killer if somebody tags me or whatever. But then like I follow a lot of other content creators, right? So like, again, like I watch Sweet Phil's stream, like whenever he streams, I watch Llama sometimes, and I watch Cooley sometimes. So I'm like active in their sort of Discords as well. Like I'm part of their Discords, but I'm also like interacting with their chat during their streams. And then there's like newer content creators, like there's new people that are starting to stream D2, and there's new people that are starting to put out shorts, and I like comment on their things and I like their posts and stuff. So I'm like very like positive in the stuff that I interact with. Like again, because I know as a content creator, there's a lot of like negative comments, hate comments, and all this stuff. So I'm like, I'm like not gonna be that guy. I'm gonna be like, yo, like this is a cool build, or like ask questions that are relevant, or so I'm like putting out like comments and stuff to be sort of promoting the game and trying to build the community and be that person. And I'm also part of a few PlayStation groups. So PlayStation has like friend groups or whatever, like party groups or whatever. And I think their groups are maxed at 100, and I'm like part of a few trade groups and all that stuff. So I'm like answering questions in there or interacting with people in there and stuff as well. So that's how I'm sort of connected. I don't stream. Like I did stream a few times, but it's like streaming was like not for me as far as like the scheduling goes. I feel like you need to have a set time and have 3 hours to do it at least. I feel like streaming for 1 hour or streaming for less than that would be kind of poor. So I don't do the stream.
It's tough to catch people if you're only playing for an hour.
Exactly.
And you're new to it, where you're like trying to get people to come in. Like you have to play for a long period of time to like collect viewers, right?
Yeah.
So that's tough.
And I feel like the stuff that I do when I like hop on is not like super interesting. Like when I probably play very consistent, as in like I play nearly every day, almost pretty much every day, but it's like 2 to 3 hours every day. Maybe on the weekends I play a little bit more sometimes, but it's about that much. So that's how I've been able to like do all this stuff, is just consistency over time. Like I have not really taken any breaks. But I just don't feel like I don't have a set schedule that would fit for streaming. So my sort of giving back or being involved and reaching out to other community is just being active on other people's streams and posting or replying to comments and all that stuff. Like, yeah, I do, like on my own channel, I reply to literally every single comment. I'm still small enough that I can do that. If I had, millions of comments, I probably would not be able to keep up with it, but
yeah, you'd spend more time. You'd be spending more time doing that than actually creating content.
Exactly.
You could probably, at that point, you could probably hire someone to answer stuff for you. But
yeah.
So, I mean, I guess along those lines, like, have you received any comments or anything, or like, has anyone reached out to you? Is there anything memorable that like kind of sticks out? Like, as far as the feedback from the community?
Yeah, so it was it's funny, like I'll host like bail runs and stuff like while they're terrorized on PlayStation, and then I'll get people like DMing me on the PlayStation Network and be like, yo, are you like Smalps on YouTube? I'm like, yeah, that's me. And they're like, oh, like they're like excited, and I'm like, yeah, I'm like just a normal guy that plays this game, like just like you. Like I play this game. They're like starstruck, but I'm like, yeah, I'm here, I'm playing this game.
All right, so we are way over on time. However, I do want to circle back to one more question before we take a break here. Do you have a favorite Diablo 2 story or in-game memory?
Yes. So So this was a cool story. So this is back when I was playing on PC, when I was like pretty into it, and my buddies have already sort of like faded their interest in it, but I was still sort of on that grind with D2, as most of us are. And it's probably like a Friday night. I think a couple of my friends were still in college. I had just graduated college, something like that. So I was playing, and they were probably out clubbing somewhere or ducking around, something like that. And I'm in game playing, and I get the message at the top that says Diablo walks the earth. And as the D2 veterans know, like that means Diablo clone has entered your game. And this was like, my heart is racing, all that stuff, because I'm like, oh my God, like I'm on the server that this happened, because you always see like X number of SOJs sold to merchants, but you're like, this is never going to happen for me. Right. And then, so I was on the server when it happened, and I was like, all right, well, I'm in the game. I can't leave the game. I have to do this. So I was on my character, and I was like scared to be able to do it. But I texted my buddy Dan, and I was like, yo, Diablo walks. And like, they're probably out, and they're like laughing at me, and they're like, oh yeah. But so I did it. So I went to Rakanishu to spawn D-clone, and
the best place.
Yeah, I'm like, I have no idea. Like, I didn't know anything about D-clone. I just knew that this is where you would do it, and this is how it happens. And then, like, all that stuff about prevent monster heal. Like, I was on my Sork. Like, I had no idea like if I could do this or not. Mm-hmm. And I did it, and it was like not that hard. And I was like, all right, I felt like this probably should have been a lot harder. But it was probably.
Did you have a Nature's Peace?
No. Well, it doesn't matter. Like Nature's Peace, you would still need a physical hit.
Physical, yeah. So you'd have to like weapon switch, hit him with something. Even though your attack rating is probably poop.
I definitely didn't do that. Yeah. I definitely didn't do that. So I probably just like staticked him down, which you would normally do. I probably staticked him down, and then I was just like blasting lightning, because I was like chain lightning frozen orb. So I was like probably just doing both, and I just eventually got him down. I probably pumped a whole lot of rejuves, but I did do it, and I was like super excited about it, because again, like this is like a lottery thing. Like you were on the server when this happened. And then it turned out to be a very good Annie. I have it in one of my old videos. But it was a 1928 Annie, and I was like, dude, that's sick.
Solid. That's
like,
solid.
Back then, when Annies were like a bajillion whatevers, because they were so hard to get, like I was like, oh my God, like I'm so lucky to be even on the server. And like my buddies are probably laughing at me. They're like, yeah, dude. Like,
that's an awesome story. Did you back in around that time? So there were. Do you remember MIRC or IRC chat?
Yep.
So there was an actual IRC channel or server that actually tracked SOJs being sold on the servers, and like they would actively like report when SOJs are being sold, and so like you could actually leave, or you can actually like jump around, like leave games and rejoin games to check the server that you were on.
Yep.
And so like that was like, I remember doing that back in the day.
That was like real declone hunting.
Right. And that was, and you would like, if you did find one on the server that was like close to popping, you would like get your character stuck in Act 1, you could like get your character stuck on the wall behind the stash.
Yep.
And you would just like leave it there, because back then there were timeouts. You couldn't just stay in a game indefinitely like you can now. You actually had to
be moving,
or else it would DC. So Yeah, like that was a whole thing. I remember that so vividly.
Yeah.
But that was it was like, just, I have fond memories of that. It's such a cool like mechanic that's like so different now, but I'm glad I experienced that.
Yeah, because it was like it was like an event. Like it was a lottery thing. You had to be on the exact server when all these things happened. So the stars had to sort of align. A lot of people would do that, joystick trick, where it's like you keep your character walking and they would leave their character open overnight, and sometimes they would get a declone spawn that way.
Right.
But like for me, it was like I was literally just playing the game and it happened. I was like, oh my god, like. This is it. This is sick.
It's like at the time it was like the best thing you could do. Like it was like the pinnacle of the game. So
yeah. So here's the question, since I've forgotten so much from those early days. When you say on the specific server, because I know like it's America wide or whatever, are we talking like US East, US West, or are we talking down to like
that was
specific
part of it. Yeah, IPs
down to the server. It was like
a server IP.
Like servers, I don't know how many games they could hold on a server. Let's just say it was 100, but it was like you had to be on the actual server.
Right, it was something like that. And so there was a limit of connections, and like it would randomly, I think it might have even been round robin how they assigned which server you ended up on when you joined a game. So you'd have to like leave games and rejoin and check your IP and see if you could get one that. And the thing was that when it was planned, a lot of people would know in advance before like the general public would find out. So they would put a bunch of their characters on the game. So there would only be a small handful of open spots on the server. Once the server fills up, there's no more connections available, and so you couldn't get it. It was very different.
That's why
dynamic.
They were so expensive back then, so hard to.
Yeah, they were way harder to get. Now it's like.
Now it's like everybody
like
has
Pez,
20,
or I don't know what you want to call it, but yeah.
So that makes your story that much more incredible.
That's what I mean.
Essentially,
like I was
lotteried your way into. That's amazing.
Yeah, I was just in the right place at the right time, and like again, a lot of people might have a build that's not capable of doing declone.
Yeah,
right?
You couldn't.
And you can't leave. You can't leave.
Yeah, it was very.
So I was like,
different.
I had to do it. I had to just go for it with the build that I had. I was like, I had no idea.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I was super stoked on that.
So Smalps, before we get to the break, I'd like to give you an opportunity to tell the people your stuff. So go ahead.
Sure. Again, so thanks for having me. It was cool to talk to all of you and talk to the audience that's going to listen to this about, my D2 story and why I play. And again, I'm playing just like everybody else is. I'm just a normal guy that's playing. And I started my channel just to share sort of some gameplay stuff and some of the tips and stuff that I know. My channel is Smalps Gaming, and I'm also very active on the Discord here that is doing this podcast. So you can find me there and ask me any questions that you have on there.
All right. So we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we will get into some various things. We've got a smorgasbord of Mailbag and some other details that we'll get into. So stick around and we'll be right back. This episode is brought to you by our D2R Discord and subreddit. Come join our community of over 100,000 combined members. Ask questions, interact with other players, get real-time updates on Diablo clone and terror zones, join voice channels and kill hordes together, enter our giveaways, or just hang out and chat. If you love D2R as much as we do, be sure to check it out. Links in the description. All right, and we are back. Next up, we're going to talk about a recent Blizz job posting. And I spent a little time digging through what they're calling an engine systems engineer. Now, I don't want to come across as being too hopeful. However, It is kind of interesting. The wording that's in it kind of took me down a path of it's possible this is related. Now, it doesn't specifically say legacy like the other postings had listed. However, it's currently up right now, and it is for Diablo. And it does mention C++ and C#. I imagine C++ is for the actual game. C# would be for probably like back-end stuff potentially. But the thing that really stood out to me, let's see, where is it? Was the listing of experience with PlayStation, Xbox, or Nintendo Switch. Now, you could look at this as potentially like having that experience on consoles would be helpful, but if you look at it from a perspective of, okay, interesting, what games does Blizzard currently have, like Diablo, that includes PlayStation, Xbox, or Nintendo? And when you look at it, that really comes down to D2 Resurrected or Diablo 3. Because Switch is not available as a platform for D4 or Diablo Immortal. And the other thing is, would they be potentially doing a remaster for D3? Probably not. I could be wrong, but it seems to me that either, and again, it doesn't specifically say legacy like the other ones, but D2 Resurrected is the only game that covers all three of those. So I thought that was kind of interesting. It may be something, it may be not. Maybe I'm just, hoping and grasping at straws, but we'll see. Maybe that's an addition to the D2R team, which I have to say, I believe that the reason we haven't heard from them is because, as far as updates on the version that we play, is because they have been working on the D2RC or D2R China changes. So I'm hopeful that sometime soon we'll hear something. But I know there's a lot of cynicism around that, but I'm holding on to hope. All right, and so the next thing we're going to quickly discuss here is Rod Fergusson's departure. I know that happened a little while ago, and it's not new news, but I guess I just wanted to get everyone's take if they had any thoughts on that.
I think that this could go either way. I know he is not the most liked person. Personally, not the biggest fan as far as what was done with the games under his control during his tenure. What that does mean, though, is it opens up a position, but who's going to be the person that fills it? Is it going to be somebody like us, who this game is a passion, it's been something that we've been into, and I know that he oversees more games than that, so if that's the kind of person that gets in there, I'm hoping it is a person who can stand behind all of their IPs, whether that's WoW, Diablo, StarCraft, etc. Can they bring that passion to all of these games? And I pray and hope against all hopes that we don't end up in a situation, let's say like Disney, where a lot of people felt that the passion was gone, that it was more about making the money and pushing for the fiscal side of things, as opposed to really feeding that hunger that the people who play these games have. So I think it's very up in the air. I think that it gives us some hope that some good things are, on the horizon, but it's tentative, hopefully we can get that kind of person in that spot.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, despite what happened with Diablo 4 and how, I guess I want to tread lightly, but like, it's clear that they brought him in because it was going off the rails in development, and like, just to maybe to be maybe a little kind and give him benefit of the doubt. Like, we don't know what it would have looked like without him. But typically, I will say, as far as I understand it, he's known for coming in and getting things to production. It's not one of those things, and don't get me wrong, I'm not an apologist. I don't play D4. I played the beta, and I was like, nah, I didn't even buy the game. But I just get a sense that, like, the whole production of it is like moving a ship. You can't do it quickly. Like, it takes a long time to turn things around. And I don't know how far along in production things were when he came on board. I mean, maybe I could look that up, but I guess I just will say that he got a bad rap. Whether that's deserved or not, I don't know.
Right.
However, I think this change could potentially bode well for us. It'd be really awesome if someone from like the D2 team actually stepped up into that spot, and maybe we would get some more attention in that regard. But I guess those are my thoughts on it.
I know you mentioned when we were kind of discussing beforehand, like what we'd kill to see like David Brevik make a comeback. Yeah. I think pretty much every one of us here would have to like pinch ourselves to make sure we weren't sleeping, and then check our pulse to make sure we're still.
I don't think it's likely
if that happens,
because they have their own design. They have their own studio now. I'm pretty sure that like I know it's like some people are from the original D2 team are working on a new game that is in like pre-alpha right now.
Moonbeast.
Yeah, Moonbeast, right? Yeah. And then David Brevik has his own studio. So I as much as I would love to see that, and I think it would be incredible, I don't have hope for that to occur, but it would be great.
Well, best we can say it's a non-zero
chance. Yeah.
So, a couple of things. If you remember when the tweet was sent out about the anniversary, there was another little thing that went on the internet when the creator of Path of Exile interviewed David Brevik.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And that fueled some, minor speculation that perhaps that he might be coming in to the Diablo, world. Now, if that's the case, what it would mean for D2R specifically, I don't know.
I would lose my mind. Well,
if he, in a good way or a bad way?
In a good way if he came back. But yeah.
Well, I don't mean Brevik. I mean the guy who created PoE. I think his name is Chris Martin.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, okay, I get what you're saying. You're saying him he would come in. Yeah, I mean, I guess I feel like I wouldn't be opposed to that. He seems genuine and really understands D2 and what players like from that perspective. I don't play PoE, but I feel like it's probably the best approximation of a continuation of the spirit of D2 that's out there. But yeah, So anyway, I'm sorry, I jumped in. Go ahead.
No, that's fine. So, I don't know much about him. I don't know much about PoE either. I tried it once and it didn't appeal to me. So, and as far as D2R is concerned, it really depends on what level. Like, are they gonna, like, say that this is a thing? Is he coming in to be the new head of Diablo as a franchise? I think we would have heard that by now. Have they had talks with him about trying to do something with D2R? Possibly, and that would be interesting. But maybe he's not the overall head. I think an interesting name to keep an eye out for, in terms of Diablo as a whole, for example, for what Rod did, would be to look at Joe Pipora. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with him. Joe is basically the lead systems designer for Diablo 4. And I had a chance to meet him. I had a chance to watch him on a few of the developer chats and everything. And he is a devoted systems guy. And so one of the things with Diablo 4, if you play it, is when you get to the end game, you have a lot of systems tacked on to your gameplay. You have a lot of things that augment your character. You have multiple levels of augmenting gear, adding on to your player power in incremental levels. It's all designed to keep you playing and give you something to do at the end game. I'm not a fan of that play style. I like the randomness of D2. I think one of the things I brought out to people on the general chat was the fact that the beauty of Diablo 2 is the frustration of finding minor mana potions, listen to me, in hell. It's useless, you don't need them, but it helps overall the impact of when you find really good items. And one of the things that's lost in the Diablo 3 and Diablo 4 is as you progress in the game, you can no longer find those low-level items. You only find stuff that is around your level or higher. And in a way, it's good because you're going to get an upgrade eventually. But at the same time, the game kind of goes on rails for you, and it loses that wow factor.
Mm-hmm.
So, in that regard, I don't know what that would mean for D2R. I don't know if that philosophy would bleed into D2R, and we would get something like, if you remember some of the old mods from LOD that had a lot of collect 100 items to build something, that kind of stuff. I don't know if we would see more of that in D2R or not, and I don't know how much it would be appreciated. Personally, like I said, I like the way the itemization is now. I like it to be hard to find. I want the rarity there, and I think that makes it more special when you find things, and it gives you that reason. Small said it perfectly earlier. We go on and we play for a half an hour because we might find that uber GG item. We probably won't, but we could.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a different experience. And the simple analogy I've always said is, in Diablo 3 and Diablo 4, the gear you find, it's a question of when. And with Diablo 2, it's a question of if.
Mm-hmm.
Because technically you could say it's when, but we're talking months or years for certain items, whereas opposed to Diablo 3, Diablo 4, that item is going to drop within a week or so relative, to the time played. So that's a guy I would think he's already built in, he's already been with the team and he knows it. So if they were going to grow from within, I would think he'd be a likely candidate. And I don't know enough about the outside gaming world to speculate on anyone else.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't want complexity for the sake of complexity.
Exactly.
Having systems for the sake of having systems, and kind of like what Smalps said earlier, if we do get an update, whatever that new end game or Act 6 or whatever that ends up being, it needs to not affect the game for everything else previously. Meaning, you should be able to not change Acts 1 through 5 as they are. and kind of leave them in place. Don't add new mechanics or change the game in a way that takes away the original way that you play. Like maybe you change the way that you play when you get into whatever that next thing is, but don't change it for the sake of changing it, I guess is the best way I can say it. That's my take on it anyway. All right. Anything else on that? Rod Fergusson leaving Blizzard. Okay, so one other thing that I wanted to touch on before we get into the mailbag is I recently came across a website. Maybe this is well known or not, but there is a website called DiabloNext.com. It's all in Spanish, so you can easily translate it with Google Translate if you're using Chrome or whatever. But what's interesting is they have all of the different Diablos on there. So D2, Diablo Immortal, D3, and D4. And on here it has when they were last updated. Now I'm just going to quickly read through the most recent update time frame, and then maybe get your take on it before we move on to the next thing. So Diablo Immortal was updated 4 days ago, as of right now. Diablo 3 was updated 7 months ago. Diablo 4 was updated 8 hours ago. And D2 was updated 9 months ago. I don't know, I just kind of got a chuckle out of it. Only because, like, I keep holding on to hope. and it feels I don't know what the word is. But to see, like, Immortal and D4 being updated, within the last few days, right? And then seeing us at 9 months, it just kind of made me laugh.
Cry a little too.
Yeah, cry and laugh.
One way to look at it is the game is so good they don't need to change it.
I like it.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, it's
in such a good state that it's good.
Yeah, I can't disagree, but I just we need something. Yeah. We need something. Anyway, all right. So let's move on to the mailbag. So we've got a few questions here. This one comes in from Jedi Mac and Cheese on Reddit. And he says, what is the best class to solo self-find hardcore classic? Now, I'll be honest, I'm probably not the best to answer this because I don't play solo self-found and I don't play hardcore or classic. So I think I'm kind of out of this. But I guess from what I understand about classic and hardcore, like obviously you want to play something that has survivability. And the way that classic is, my best guess would probably be either a necro, a summon necro with corpse explosion, or maybe barbarian. Those would be my guesses on that. Does anyone have any thoughts on that?
Not I'm in the same boat as you. SSF, hardcore, and classic, I'm out.
Yeah, those are all no.
All right, Crude, you got to carry.
Yeah.
Well, when I looked at the question, my first immediate response was summon or necro, but when I saw that it said classic, I had to pause for a second. I've never really played classic. I played classic for one day and bought the expansion. So... now I do know that the current version of Classic supports synergies. And based on that, I would say that the Summoner Necro is the absolute best choice. Because you have the tiny little 3x4 stash, which is just mind-boggling to me. It hurts my head to think about. And the Summoner Necro needs nothing. He needs none of the gear that so many other classes need to be effective. And so when you're faced with that situation of not having a lot of storage space and not having, the ability to hold on to things, for example, I think he's the clear-cut winner. It's very, very hard to kill a summoner necro. You have to kind of want to die in a way.
He is a necro, so anyway.
Yeah, and so I think that's the answer, really. It's summoner necro, and everything else is a distant second. Even my beloved barbarian, with all the extra health you get from battle orders and everything else, the fact that you don't have access to rune words and those high-end uniques that will populate from the expansion does limit the amount of damage you can have, and that's really why it kind of starts and ends with our summoner friend.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree. I don't know for certain, but it sounds right to me. Yeah, if anyone's listening to this that plays solo self-found hardcore classic, let us know. What is the answer?
Throw it in the next mailbag section.
Yeah, reach out, let us know. And then they have a bonus question. What is the best title you gained from completing a difficulty? I understand. Like, I don't play hardcore, but I really like Destroyer. I feel like that just hits so different than anything else.
Conqueror for me, that just gives strength vibes to me. That's someone who not only do they come in and destroy, they are there to put you under their boot. Like, that just screams I am awesome. Bow before me.
Yeah, it kind of gives me like Conan the Barbarian vibes.
I was thinking the Conqueror that like 7% of all male on the planet are descendants of in some way. Crap.
He's a Mongolian, right?
Yeah.
Attila the Hun?
Was it Attila?
Oh, or Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
Genghis Khan. Thank you, Crude Sash.
Yes. Someone listened in history class.
No, he just watched Mulan a lot.
All right. Smalps?
I feel like Slayer's got to be in there. Slayer. Yeah. That's like,
Yeah. Agreed. I feel like
people talk about that all the time.
Yeah, I feel like Slayer, Destroyer, and Conqueror are kind of like the best three. I will say that Jedi did say, in their opinion, that King and Queen title goes much harder than Matriarch, Patriarch, Guardian, or Baron. I agree with all of that.
Yes.
But I think Destroyer, Conqueror, and Slayer, they hit different.
That's someone who takes what they want. A king and queen, like, that's just bloodlines.
That's a fun way to look at it. That's
probably why they didn't use it.
Yeah, well, so it is used in Classic.
Oh, okay. King.
Yeah, it is used in Classic, but in Classic Hardcore, but with the expansion, the names changed a little bit. Yeah, I agree though. All right, and then lastly, we've got a question from Muffin Cloud 24, who asks, when will you be doubling the drop rates of high runes? This feels like a needed fix since the end game is inaccessible to the average player. Then they go on to talk about how much time they've spent playing and not finding anything, and wrapping it up with, I understand this is a peasant person problem, and when I get a drop I can use it across all my characters, but this feels like a needed quality of life fix. I'll let someone else answer this.
Okay, I've been waiting for this the entire show.
There we go.
Okay. First of all, as I mentioned earlier, one of the great joys about Diablo 2 is the difficulty, the rarity of items that make it feel so special. But the other thing is, this is important, if the loot is too easy to find, you will not enjoy the game enough. And to add to it, and this is not an elitist comment because I am far from an elitist, you do not need uber gear to beat this game. I have beaten this game on hell with characters that had blue items, low-level set items, rares, hardly any major rune words. And if you think I'm kidding, if you think, nah, you're just talking out your butt, I am going to share with you right now the gear that is on my paladin, who is a level 84 patriarch. He has cleared the game. I can join anybody's non-ladder game and show you. And I'm going to share you my gear right now. Very quickly. So, he has Talrosh's mask. He has a oath for a weapon. I'm sorry, not oath. Lawbringer for a weapon. A smoke armor. A rare shield with 51 resistance. Saigon's belt. Saigon's boots. Saigon's gloves. 2 rare rings. No Annihilus. No torch. Beat hell. And
yeah, but what are you wearing for an amulet?
The amulet. Oh, good question. The amulet. That is a rare with +1 to skills and +3 resistance. I am not kidding. I will screenshot everything on here. And this guy is a Zealodin, and he wipes the floor with everything with a Lawbringer phase blade. So, to answer your question, Muffin, you do not need those uber items to beat the game. And if you're watching guides that say you have to have Enigma and you have to have Grief and you have to have Sirs and Burrs and Jaws and Cams, no, you don't. They're good for quality of life. They're great for farming, I won't lie. They're great for building wealth. All of that is true. But for playing the game and beating the game and getting to endgame and running endgame content, it is all just extra fluff. You do not need it. And if anybody wants to come to Uncle Crude's Diablo lessons and learn how to play the game like a poor man, I will gladly show you.
I think, though, you skipped something, and we know that's where the true power comes from, so let's see if you have it. You got a Geeds, don't you?
I do not.
Oh, well, there you go, guys. It's the poor man's build. It doesn't even have the Geeds.
Oh, man.
Now, look, but look, let's be honest here. Some people jump in the game and they want to get through it immediately.
Yeah.
They want to be Guardian that same night. And that might be, you know, the younger gamer is used to a faster paced game and so on and so forth. I am a leisurely, slow player. I take forever. It's why I'm terrible at grouping up with people, because I'm always lagging behind. I stop and look at everything, and even though I've done this game so many thousands of times, every single time I get in there, I'm like, I wonder what's in this basket. So, you know, it's a different experience. Now, I think for some people, you know, they might want, you know, double rune drops and faster things. But I think once you get that, you will not like what you get. It's one of those situations where you think you know what you want, but you don't. Because once everything comes super easy, the game will become boring and you'll cease to play it anymore.
That's what D4 is.
Yeah, right. It's instant gratification. I think that is the reason why the game has withstood withstood time. Is that it's not easy. That you could literally play forever. Well, maybe not forever, but you could play maybe all of your life and never find a Zod. And that's okay. The beauty of the game is you can trade. And so you can, find items, trade for that stuff that you wouldn't otherwise be able to find. It all works out. But yeah, I guess to answer your question, I don't think doubling drop rates is in the cards. Now, granted, we don't control any of that, but I have a feeling that won't be something that happens.
No,
Muffin,
and
if
it doesn't need to.
Mm-hmm.
No, and Muffin, I'll leave you with this last thing if it makes you feel any better. The current rune drop rates are exactly 10 times better than they were before version 1.13. Before that, they were 10 times harder to find. The Zod rune had a 1 in 1 million chance to drop. That's the truth. You can look it up.
And I can back that up with my own anecdotal evidence. I played for, the better part of a decade at least with LOD days. My first high rune drop was after I came back, which was last season. I found my first high rune. So I was back, 3 months, found one, never found one in a decade of playing before.
Mm-hmm.
And I was doing the bail runs, I had my level 92 or 94, whatever it was, hammered in, and I played forever with that thing. Never saw one drop. So doubling it, it's not gonna make you feel as good as you think it will. It's that hunt and that final drop when it hits, and you feel that, that pitter patter in your heart, like, is this real? Did this really just happen? Like, this is amazing. And if it's so much easier, you're not going to get that feeling. And it can get discouraging, but, even Crude said you can make it without having all of this fancy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So
sure.
Enjoy the time that you spend in it, enjoy the drops you get, and when that drop finally hits for you, I promise it's worth it.
Yeah, I honestly, like, for me, everything has, all the different drops have a feeling associated with it, but like for me, the biggest reaction for me ever was when I found a 45 life peak combat. I was playing on my Javazon in TZ Cows. I think it was like level 93 or 94 at the time, and I picked up a bunch of different grand charms that had dropped and went back to town, ID'd them, and when I saw it, I like had to do a triple take, making sure that I wasn't misreading it, that it wasn't just like a barb combat. And like I just sat there with my jaw, like I was slack-jawed, mouth agape, just staring at it, kind of like in complete disbelief. And I probably paced around my room saying, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god." I don't even know how many times. And like that, to me, that was like the pinnacle. That was like the best thing I had ever found. And I still have it to this day. I was tempted to sell it, but I kept it as a trophy, and I, have it on my hammered in. I got offers for, 100 jaw or whatever, and I just was like, no, I think, as tempting as that is, and I could just rebuy a 44 or something, I was like, no, I'm gonna hold on to this. It means more to me in all my years of playing to find that, because normally you don't find those. Those are typically re-rolls.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and a perfect charm is super rare.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, I want to say, I looked it up at one point. I want to say it was like 1 in 113,000 chance, something like that. I don't know if that's accurate, but I think when I looked it up on a drop calculator at one point, that's what it said.
You know who would know?
Pavkey. Yeah. Yeah.
He would know the exact
get him on here.
He would know the exact ones.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so Crude, did you have anything for Mailbag?
Yeah, I actually have a couple here that came direct to my inbox here. So the first one is from John Doe 99, and John says, I have a level 80 Necromancer, and I was wondering what is the best base for a traditional paella. John, if that's your real name, I I have to ask you, first of all, you are aware that this is not a Wendy's, right, sir? This is a Diablo 2 podcast. But I would say that for the traditional paella, you'd have to ask someone who knows anything about food. My next question actually comes from a world-famous celebrity. Speaking of food, he is the Swedish chef, and he has a question about gear. And because of the way it's written, I have no choice but to speak it in his language, and I hope I do it, justice. And he starts off with, Rudy Spur, Rudy Spurdy, Rudy Rudy, help me, Rudy Hooty. Rudy Spur, the shaky bakey, or the griff griff. Well, I think, if I'm understanding him correctly, and Lord knows I'm not sure, he wants to know the difference between the Shaco and Griffin's Eye. Well, Chef, I can tell you with a very hearty boot boot that you should go with the Shaco, unless you're a Lightning Sork or a Javazon, in which case use the Griffins.
Here we go. Well said.
I can't disagree. All right. Oh, well, that's a wonderful way to wrap things up. Smalps, thank you for joining us today. Really appreciate it. It's been great hanging out. Let's do it again sometime. Your presence honors us. And if you enjoy our content, please consider joining our community on Reddit and Discord. And as always, farewell. Until next time.